G'day guys, another quick video here on the Vision Impaired Carnivore YouTube channel. If you like the content we provide, feel free to like and subscribe. What I'd like to talk about today is managing carnivore with a vision impairment. Now, one of the main things that's an advantage of this way of eating is it's simplistic. So it's very easy to do because all you're doing is basically putting meat in a pan. Now, with your meat prep, I'm going to talk today about how meat prep is important. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take you to my freezer and show you how I actually have my meat prepared. Now, so let's open up the freezer, which is in the bottom of the fridge. Don't take any notice of the other stuff that's in there. But this is my little stash of some meals. So what we've got in here, I've got a nice a steak actually in a cryovac pack. Got some chops here. Now they're individually wrapped. So the way I do this is so that I can actually have a meal of whatever I like. So if you see here, they're all individually wrapped. And down the bottom here, there's some steaks as well. They're all individually wrapped. Now the reason I do that is because it's actually easier for me to be able to find what I'm looking for and be able to pick my meals out as to what I want. So that's one thing that I do. Now, why I do that is it means that I can actually pick the food I want to eat at a specific time. So I'm not restricted by having to thaw out a bunch of meat. So I basically can pick my meals. So if I want a steak and a chop, well, I can do that at any given time. So it's very important to be able to do that. Now, the other point also is that when you go to use a smoker, for example, you want to make sure that you've got your meat well thawed. So you need to prepare well ahead of time. So now what I thought I'd just show you is some of the items that I use to cook with. Now, being a vision impaired person, I have to make sure that what I'm using is practical for me. Flip over to the other camera, we can actually see this is the stovetop I use. Now, a lot of people go crook about stainless steel, but I reckon it's the best thing since sliced bread, to be honest. It's actually clean. That's the sauce, that's the pan that I normally use. Now, I'm just going to go into my cupboard here and grab out what I usually use. As you can see, everything's easily for me to get access to. I use one of these. Now, I've got one of these from Aldi here in Australia when they, of course, have their middle area, of course, where you can buy anything from, one of these to even a paddle board or something like that. I use this because it's actually easier to use. So you've got a splash guard. So it's actually a lot better because it actually locks onto the pan. And also you can see inside it. So it's got a visual there as well to know what you're actually cooking. Now, with one of these, it actually means that your meat will cook actually a little bit quicker because it effectively uses that like a mini oven. So what you need to make sure of is that you've actually got to understand that when you go to cook your meat times are going to change a little. The other item I use occasionally is, of course, if you've just seen, is the air fryer. I don't use this much, but I use it sometimes when I want to do, ribs or, that sort of thing. Chicken, I use an air fryer. Now, the reason I do that is because it actually gives it a little bit more flavour. I sometimes use the pan, of course, for chicken, but mainly all the time. In most cases, I will use the air fryer. The other important thing to remember for people with vision impairments when we use cooking utensils is we need to make sure we use very minimal of them. And the reason we do that is to make sure that we can easily see them. So what I always use is stainless steel tongs and an egg slide. Now they're easy to see, so they actually contrast a lot easier with the bench tops, which you've just seen, which are basically like a reddy orange colour, so that they contrast well with it. Now the other point that I want to point out to you is my range hood here. Now, one thing you want to make sure of with vision impaired people, particularly anyone who's cooking that is vision impaired, you want to make sure your range hood has good lighting. So you want to make sure that the lights you choose in your range hood are very, very easy for you to see. So as you can see, if I take that off, you can actually see the pan really easily. So that's important to make sure that you have a very good area for you to actually see and be able to navigate your area. And right next to me, of course, here is the butter, which I cook with all the time. Again, it's within reach of where I'm cooking. Now, my wife uses olive oil and that's our old fat and other things like that, but I use mainly my butter. I also cook in beef tallow and lard as well. So that's my little cooking area that I use for my carnivore cooking experience. So I hope you enjoyed that little video for me to show you exactly what I do and how I get around cooking and make myself safe around a cooking environment. I'm cooking, of course, on a gas stove. I prefer that actually to electric. I'll explain why. You actually see the flame. That's what you want, is a visual. If you're a person with a vision impairment that sees things differently, you may have a different opinion, but that's what I use it for, is I can actually see what I'm doing. So I know when the flame is active. A lot of electric stoves, you can't actually see there being heat. So there's a bit of an issue with that. So it gives you a bit of an idea of what I do and how I go about cooking as the vision impaired carnivore. I'll catch you next time.